Welcome back to another SCBWI featured illustrator interview. My name is Tamika Grooms, and I'm the Design and Illustration Manager for SCBWI. Every month, we select an illustrator member to spotlight on the SCBWI website and social media pages to highlight the work that they're doing in the children's illustration market. This month's featured illustrator is Shelley Hanmo. Shelley, hello, how are you?
How
Welcome.
are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thank you for chatting with me today. I'm so happy to have you on the screen and also to learn more about your work. So welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Tamika. I'm very excited to be here.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think if I remember correctly, I think you may have submitted your artwork for the featured illustrator a couple times. And
Yes.
I think we've been watching your work evolve for a little while now. I know that you're also a winner of some SCBWI awards. Or you won an award, I think, a scholarship recently
Yes.
too. So you've been on our radar for a while, and I've been wanting to talk to you about the featured illustrator program for a minute. And so I'm really happy that you're here to talk with us today.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
So first, let's start with your journey as an illustrator. I know that you have some other creative experiences, but just tell us a little bit broadly about how you came into children's book illustration.
Yeah, I actually went to school for music, so I'm a pianist. I like art is actually just a hobby of mine for many years since I was a little child. I really loved looking through magazines of like masterpieces like oil paintings and things like that, different styles. That was just like a hobby, and I never went to school for art. But I loved, just playing with collage even since I was a my like maybe 6 or 7 years old. I would make little cards and little bookmarks. I remember I really enjoyed that as a pastime. So that was just like stayed with me for many years. And I was in school for music, but then I would sometimes make like little cards or little artworks for my friends and teachers. So that was just in the background for many years. So around 2020, that's when I graduated from school. It's during the pandemic, so everything shut down. So I was like, well, I really don't have the opportunity to find a job at the moment. So why don't I just, kind of shift my focus to art because I love this so much for many years. So I just started to kind of really work on it, and I took some online courses, how to do Photoshop and things like that. I just learned a lot, and I also took some Kid Lick courses just to really get to know the genre, different art form. And I think 2021, an author asked me to illustrate her book. So it was just like a very easygoing project. That was like a first time for me to kind of try to illustrate a story, and that was a good challenge. And I learned a lot through that experience. So fast forward a few years later, so I was keep practicing, trying to refine my style in collage, and also blending in different watercolor, gouache, and color pencils, and adding like Photoshop at the end to edit the final images. So I kind of started to refine my own style. So it's just been a really great journey for me just to kind of self di discover my artistic voice. And also, I'm fortunate enough to be able to illustrate uh, a few books at the moment. So it's very great so far. So, yeah.
Yeah. One of the things about just paper arts in general is it the editing process. You know, I'm really curious about how you take this like step by step. And I've had other artists that I've interviewed, but it still always baffles me how you get from this idea of
Yeah.
what you're going to create with
Yeah.
paper arts. You're piecing these things together, and it feels more 3D than your 2D drawing, painting, digital,
Yeah.
whatever you're doing. Tell me a little bit about the process that you use to create these illustrations
Yeah.
with paper.
Yeah, so I think sound it always starts in my head. I think I can imagine kind of the final scene. So that really helps me to kind of narrow down, different ideas and different color palette and different compositions and so on. So I usually sketch very roughly, especially if it's just for my own project. But now I work more with clients and I do have to sketch more details. So I will do like maybe like a very brief thumbnail just to figure out the composition, the layout, and then I'll go dive into the details, especially if I want to convey that idea to a client. So I do sketch more, like at least looks kind of like my paper collage art with the
Mhm.
characters, especially. And of course, it will look very different. I always tell my clients like the final ones will have different layers and depth and shadows, which they won't have in the sketch. It's just like going to be a flat pencil drawing. So then I work on the palettes. So I have something like a little watercolor paper with, testing different color combination. I might change something and I had to write it out, you know, this color comes from these two or three colors together. Like I had to write it out so I remember what that color is. Um, and then once the color test out, and then I might do another thumbnail just with the color, just to see how it looks like at the end. I might change a little bit. And then I start to collage. The collage is, very detailed, very kind of time consuming process. And it gets messy. And like my table sometimes always a mess,
Mhm.
especially when I'm in the middle of a project. Just piles of paper, and of course the first step is to paint the paper. And I'll paint like I use repurposed paper like magazine paper or sometimes watercolor paper to paint the colors that I wanted for that one project, and then I let it dry. So I have to do that ahead of time, just so I can start on time, and then I start cutting and little pieces. So I might start from like the main character. So I figure out the size. So size is very different, very important in collage because every scene you have to make sure the size works, right? In that specific aspect, like that angle. So sometimes I may start with a main character, the size, and once I figure out that, and I figure out the rest of the size that works with that scene. Sometimes I might do background first, and then figure out, okay, so the background, this building is this size, and then how big are the people, in comparison to that building. So something like that. Yeah, it's a very fun. And at the end, I know some other artists usually do is they'll scan. So I prefer photograph my final work because it shows the shadows and depth. And then I took the high res photo into the Photoshop and I'll edit it that way. At the end, I may add little details that I couldn't add with paper collage, or like editing, clean up some stuff at the end, or change the color slightly, and so on. So that's kind of like the main process, I guess, for me.
Gotcha. And so so how deep are these
They're
illustrations?
not too deep. I
Okay.
sometimes you have a little tiny like a pad. So
Uh-huh.
under certain things like a shadow, if I want to show the shadow like layers,
Mhm.
I would add a little something under. So just show a little depth, but it's not too thick. So
Gotcha.
it's not like technically purely a 3D, but I do want to have a little bit aspect of that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Wow. Wow. It sounds very involved. And I'm also kind of curious, like if something needs to be edited, how is that
Yeah.
process? Yeah.
Yes, actually, ask a lot of questions, especially now I work with like art director and editors. They will ask me, so how do you edit? So, the simplest way, if it's just like a simple color change, I can do that through Photoshop. I can
I
just do
see.
that pretty easy. Or if I need to edit major things, but the good thing is that collage is like glued together and you can take them apart. Say
Mhm.
if I need to change the background color, I can just unglue everything. And then I will remake the background and I'll glue back everything together. So that's pretty easy to change if it's just like one or two elements that needs to be changed. So I can do that pretty quick. So
So I asked that question because I'm for myself, I'm really wanting to play more with my physical hands, do a little less digital. Not to say that I'm going to abandon that, but I'm want to add other things to my practice. And editing is the thing that
yes.
always It's like, oh gosh, how am I going to edit this if I need to?
Yes,
And how
definitely.
laborious is that going to be in the
Yeah.
process? So so that's why I really was.
Yeah, definitely. Because editing is kind of tricky, especially you say you want to change the size of something. Sometimes means you had to remake that one
Mhm.
item, right? And then also like I have to photograph on a day. It's like a nice day, so it's not too cloudy, too dark. So lighting is very important too when it comes to that. It's almost like a little photograph space that you had to make sure that all the lighting works and everything. And then otherwise they will look very different because I made that mistake before. Like I'll try to like rush something and then I'll photograph something during like a cloudy day and the final image doesn't look as good as like a different day. So the
Yeah.
color will change too because of that. So it's very tricky, sensitive.
I interviewed Nancy Miller last year, I believe it was, and she does
Yeah.
paperwork as well. And she uses a light box of some sort to
Yeah.
photograph within. So I know that there's always different ways that people approach
Yes.
it, but it's nice to hear, how you've done it and how you've been successful at it too. So
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah. I remember because I'm friends with Nancy too, and we talk about it all the time, like how she does it. Because she's more like into like a 3D mini set.
yeah.
So it's like amazing to see her working on the little things like that.
Mhm.
Yeah. So I do more like rely on natural light, but with a little bit artificial light. Like a pretty much like a white light. Uh, and then I will photograph it. So it's just like an even lighting as possible. And I try to also, I want to do is to play with lighting a little bit more. Say like, what if I want to do like a night scene and then the art piece is actually should be darker. How
Mhm.
can I do that with the lighting? I can play with that. So I wanted to do more of that too.
Yeah, yeah, that sounds amazing. Um, since you're speaking on it, I want to show people your artwork. So I'm gonna hop on over to your website. One moment.
Yeah.
All right, can you see your website?
Yes.
Okay, let's make sure. There we go. All righty. So we have your website here, and all of this wonderful artwork is scrolling across the page. But before we look at the artwork, let's scroll down. Oh, well, I saw something this morning, but I'm sure I'm going to come back to it. So we'll look at the artwork first. So we have all of this coming across the page, and I love that you have it on my screen. It's very full format all the way across. I'm not sure how it might look on a cell phone, but it's nice to be able to see all of this texture and
Yeah.
layers, on the big screen. So it's
Right.
absolutely beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. So there's portfolio. So let's go on in here. And Shelley, I got to tell you, there were actually several pieces that I was looking at to consider and to show to our committee for consideration. And I was like, oh, we can use this one for now and this one for
Yeah.
later. And so it was just like, which one are we going to use? And I really enjoyed this one
Yes.
because I grew up going to the Nutcracker and being a part of it, and that's what this
Oh,
reminded me of. And I really like the layers of the stage and the people, and yeah, it was. I love this one.
thank you.
Mhm. I'm just gonna scroll or click through some of these so people can see. Can you tell me a little bit about some of the things that inspire your artwork?
I think it just usually I am pretty broad when it comes to topics.
Mhm.
I really get inspired by like fun stories, especially like stories that I can connect with. So the piece actually comes like the one that you're showing right now is actually one of the dummies I'm working on slowly because I want to get also better at writing as well. So it's kind of it's actually like one of my mom's childhood story. So I'm working on, I'm kind of modifying it a little bit. So I'm trying to figure out like the whole story idea at the
Mhm.
moment. So it's something that like I connect with usually, and I love to illustrate like some about nature and also animals and different people from around the world, maybe their food or maybe their areas they live in or the activities they do. So those are things that give me inspiration
Hmm. This one specifically, I like how you're working with pattern. It feels flat, but it feels like it has depth. And then it has pattern. It feels like it has like it has all the design, the elements of design going on in this one image. And I really like this one too. So this
Oh,
was the
thank
one I
you.
was
Thank you.
considering.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because we do a lot of pumpkin picking here in the Midwest.
Hmm.
That's like a big thing, and I fall is one of my favorite seasons. Uh,
Yeah.
so I really that's why I worked on that set of pieces last fall.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love this one too.
Yeah, that one
Um,
I played with lighting with on Photoshop. So it was fun to kind of add the shadows. So that all the shadows that were added on Photoshop afterwards.
ah, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
so this is really
Yeah.
fun to play with.
And it's funny, now that I say that, I can kind of see how you work that in. But it didn't feel like you used Photoshop when I looked at it. I
Yes.
just was like, this is Shelley's work and it's amazing and she's presenting us something great. And I wasn't thinking about like even the materials,
Yeah.
how you put it together. I was just like, this is a great piece of art. This was actually one that I also considered too, but
Oh, yeah.
so it's great.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite for
Mhm.
Halloween. Yeah, it's really fun to work on this one.
Is this one of your stories as well?
This was like another story I was working on. I There was just a few things I illustrated. So eventually I might work it into something like an actual story.
Hmm.
This is like an earlier work. I think I did this one like 2 years ago or something like that.
Yeah.
Um,
It also I don't know, sometimes paper arts also feels like puppetry arts to me as well.
yes.
And I know that they're playing with puppets, so that's probably what's bringing it to the top of mind. But it if it has staged is not the right word, but it has a quality of like you're putting these characters in positions and you're manipulating their movements and all that.
Yes.
And I suppose in regular illustration we do that as well, but it feels different because there's
Yeah. You
a
can
tactile
Yes,
part.
you can pose them. It's like a
Yeah.
little puppet. I feel like sometimes I create characters more like paper dolls, and
Mhm.
we play with, and you put different clothes on, outfits and things like that. So definitely, I feel like a little set I'm working with.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. And are you using different types of materials too? Is it just watercolor you're using to color these, or are you using all sorts of things?
I use mostly watercolor and sometimes gouache.
Mhm.
I mix them together, and I would use color pencils as well.
Mhm.
And some of those, like for example, like this one, the bottom of the train, the steam is added on Photoshop.
I see.
So, but then all the other things are painted with watercolor, gouache, and pencils and things so on.
Yeah, I really like how you've found ways to add extra depth and texture. You could have just stopped at paper, just plain old paper and done the shapes, but you added a lot of extra things with the words that are on the paper and the different markings that just give you a little something extra to look at. So
Yeah,
these are
thank
really
you, thank you.
beautiful. Yeah, yeah. So I won't show them all of your work here. I want to invite people to go on over to your website and learn more because there's a lot of pieces on here. And I'm assuming that most of this has been done since 2020.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
is probably like the last 2, 3 years of work. Yes.
Shelley, you've been working.
Yes, because I have added a lot of portfolio pieces on here. So,
Oh my goodness. This
yeah.
is you've been prolific, my friend.
Thank you.
This is wonderful. So I want y'all to go on over to her website, check it out. Tell us what your website is.
It's
Uh-huh.
junoniaarts.com. So JUNIAARTS.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that's also my uh, handle for all social media as
Yeah.
well. It's Junonia
Gotcha.
Arts.
Okay. So there's lots to look at on here as well. So you all go on over to her website. Before we go, I'm going to stop sharing. I really would love to see that piece of artwork that we have featured. I think you have the physical
Yes,
copy?
I actually do have an actual the original of the piece. So this one is the background is painted with watercolor,
Uh-huh.
and then I'll add different pieces like all those leaves. Like I hand cut them out and add it little by little to the characters on the page. So I want to kind of create this kind of like a bird's eye view almost, just to kind of have just focusing on the character at the moment. So that was
Mhm.
really fun to create.
It's even more amazing to see the physical copy of it. Like I would love to see it in the original art show or some other print
Yeah.
placed on a wall. But luckily we also can see it in the book as well,
Oh,
once it's produced. Do you have any books that you'd love for us to go check out?
yeah. So I have one that's came out this last spring. So it's called All by Myself. It's written by Elizabeth Everett, and it's also published by Learner Books. And so it came out March of this year, and it was my first illustrated book. It's came out through like actual publisher. So I'm very proud of this work, and it was a really great learning experience working with the art director the whole year last year. Um, yeah, it was really great to just be able to kind of storytelling through my paper cut collage. So
Yeah.
that's the book. It's called All by Myself.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And how long did it take you to go through that process with the
I think
illustration?
it's all probably about like 8 to 9 months
Mhm.
to do the starting from like sketching to finishing. So I think I started 2023 in the fall, and
Okay.
then I finished 2024 in the spring, so like
Okay.
May of 2024. So it
Nice.
was really kind of good to kind of know your deadline, and you because usually it takes me about a week to do one spread. That's the
Hmm.
average pace. So depending on how many spreads or pages they have in a book, I roughly can know how many weeks I need for a book. So that's
Got it.
usually how I can tell like the art director, like they ask you how long do you think you need, right? So I say, well, if it's a 40-page book or something, 18 spreads plus cover plus end paper, that's 20 weeks of
Hmm.
nonstop working. But
Hmm.
then sometimes you want a little wiggle room in the middle as well. So
Yeah.
yeah, so it's a good way. So I learned a lot through the book, which is really valuable for me because now I'm working on two books with Waterbook Monoma, and it's like a bigger project.
Mm.
But because of the book I did with Learner last year, and I more confident with what I can do and the pacing and everything. Uh, yeah,
That's amazing. That's amazing. I know that you haven't had any books that you've written.
not yet.
Okay, so I know that that's going to be coming at some point, probably sooner than later.
Yes,
I want you to just make sure that we know about that as well, because we would love to, learn more about your work and support it when
thank
we
you.
can.
Thank you.
Um, Tell us a little bit about what made you actually join SCBWI.
Uh, I think it's one of the greatest thing I did as throughout my creative journeys to join SCBWI. I think one of my friend of mine I was talking with, and she was part of SCBWI, and then she told me like I was at the early part of my a career like illustrating path, and then I was like, well, I want to learn more about this thing because since I didn't go to school especially, um I want to connect with people that's in this field. And she said, why don't you join SCBWI, and it's you have lots of resource on it. So I checked that out and it was amazing, and I love that you have a local chapter for your area. But also we have different workshops, virtual and in person. Those events kind of really helped me to grow. I remember the first time I was part. I joined the summer conference. I think it was 3 years ago. That was amazing. I learned a lot. That was the first time I went to the conference. It was online, but it was amazing to kind of really get to learn a lot of things, important uh, aspects in the kids' books. And also, I got the opportunity to go in person to the New York conference, I think 2 years ago
Yeah.
as well. So that was also amazing because you get more opportunity to connect with people in
Mhm.
person, like different friends, like colleagues that's on the same path as you, or like you meet with your mentors maybe, or like someone that's in the field for many years, you get to talk with, ask questions. And those are very valuable experience, I think. So I think for me, I think it's very important to stay connected with other creative minds, and you make friends through that too. I made a lot of friends through SCBWI's events and different uh, things like that, and I really value that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. One of the things for me too, I didn't go to school. I didn't go to art school. A lot of my things are either self-taught or I've worked specifically with other artists or gone to workshops. But
Yeah.
for me, SCBWI was a big part of my education as an
Yeah.
illustrator and a writer too. So,
Yes.
all of us don't have the same path. And I always like to ask that question, like, how did you get to the point of thinking that SCBWI was a good resource. And
Yeah.
everybody has a kind of slightly different answer
Yeah.
about why
Sure.
they came to it and what the benefits are. So
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that with
Yeah,
us.
definitely. Because
Mhm.
also I remember it's also learning experience for me when I just even looking at other people's portfolios
Mhm.
at the in-person conferences, because it was a lot, like so many portfolios at the national conference. It was overwhelming, especially for the first time.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, there are so many amazing artists out there. They all have their own voice, which is the amazing part. It's not like everybody's the same. It's
Yeah.
everybody's different. They have their own distinct style, the stories they want to tell, how they tell it. It's amazing. And how did they put the whole portfolio put together? That's also, I learned a lot through that as well. So it's very, very valuable.
Yeah, yeah. It's funny you brought that up because I remember my first time going to a portfolio showcase and overwhelmed was not even the word. Because it's like you're amazed by all of the artwork that's there,
Yeah.
and then there's so much, and it's just a lot of sensory things
Yes,
going on.
I know.
But it's
Yeah.
all good. It's all good.
Yes, it's all positive. And I always love meeting Kidlit people, like writers and illustrators, because they're always so like friendly. They always love to share their experience. Or if you have difficulty with something, you ask the question, they always love to share. So I
Yeah,
really love that about this group. It's just really supportive of
yeah.
each other's journey.
Excellent. Well, Shelley, it has been a pleasure to talk with you. I'm so glad that I got this opportunity to speak with you and get to know you better. I know usually we're seeing each other in passing, but it's it's nice to talk with you
Yes.
today.
It's
Yeah,
so nice. And it was an honor of mine to be able to, be here. And thank you so much for your, be able to invite me. And I really appreciate it. Uh,
yeah. Thank you,
yes.
thank you. Well, tell them one more time where they can learn more about your artwork, just so that we have it all tied up at the end. Tell
Yeah.
us where we can see your artwork at.
Yes. So you can find me on social media. So it's Junonia Arts, Junonia and Arts. So, and also my website is junoniaarts.com, and you can find me. I'm on pretty much all the major platforms, and also on like Blue Sky and Threads, and also my SCBWI's profile has those links as well.
Hmm.
So
Okay,
yeah.
perfect. Perfect. Okay, well, thank you so much for being here with me today, and I will see you soon.